It was recently reported on a Chinese government website that Chinese Premier Li Keqiang banged on his desk in anger at an executive meeting of the State Council. Coverage of the Chinese premier has been relatively low-key in the official Chinese media, which has made such a description of his behavior a rare case. According to the report, on July 14, Li Keqiang presided over an executive meeting of the State Council to deploy work on the implementation of the central budget and address problems identified by financial audits. In the course of the audit, leads on major illegal activities such as dumping of bulk commodities and tax evasion were found. Li angrily banged on the desk at the meeting, calling the situation very bad, and said that a special investigation team should be set up to investigate to the end, no matter what level is involved, to deal with those who need to be dealt with, arrest those who need to be arrested, no tolerance, no leniency. It is worth noting that this official report mentioned that Li once again mentioned that the government should live a tight life. This report likely reveals an essential message that the Chinese government is in a financial crunch and suffering from a real shortage of money. Previously, the premier had suggested that the central government live a tighter life on multiple occasions.
中央政府这次是带头过紧日子，我们把中央部门的刚性支出压缩了1半以上，调向提升企业和民生，各级政府都要过紧日子，绝不允许搞形式主义，干那些大手大脚花钱的事儿。
However, we have not seen any official announcement of the central government that is taking the lead. Instead, ordinary Chinese civil servants and teachers are asked to take a lead in living a tighter life. For example, on July 7, the Water Resources Bureau in a southern city issued a policy. It states that according to the relevant regulations, all units should complete the refund procedure unconditionally within 10 days, returning all governmental bonuses issued after June 7, 2021. While another municipal government required all teachers to return the bonuses rewarded for high-quality teaching already issued on July 7 to the school bank card. Teachers in that city received a bonus of RMB 20,000 for the first quarter and a total of RMB 80,000 for the 4 quarters, plus year-end bonuses. These bonuses are higher than the teacher's total annual salary. As early as July 3, some departments in Chaozhou City, Guangdong Province, were notified to stop paying housing subsidies and bonuses. 3 days later, Guangdong Shanwei City followed suit. Some units in Shenzhen, Guangdong Province, are compiling statistics on employees' income in recent years. Some organizations in Shanghai have also stopped paying first-quarter bonuses. In addition, other provinces or cities in China, such as Henan, Shandong, Chongqing, and Hubei, have seen civil servants having their bonuses clawed back or stopped. Most junior civil servants and primary and secondary school teachers in China earn between RMB 2,000 and RMB 4,000 per month. Most of their expenses for raising children and paying mortgages come from various subsidies and bonuses. If this income is retroactively withdrawn, many of them would have trouble with their family finances. There are online reports that some organizations are asking employees who cannot return the bonuses to take out loans. For example, banks in Zhejiang City, Jiangxi Province, are offering refund loans to employees who cannot afford to pay. Some Chinese have made comments regarding this. It used to be the young working people in China lying flat. Now it's the grassroots civil servants' turn. It refers to the recent movement in China where Chinese millennials are giving up the rat race to lie flat. However, this is perhaps not that bad for the central government. How many people are supported by the public purse in China? This figure is very vague. According to the official figures released by the Communist Party in 2016, China has a total of 7.167 million civil servants, but some experts believe that public servants are not only those working for the Communist Party and government bodies, but should also include all those who are financially supported by the public purse. The deputy director of the CCP Central Party School Research Office mentioned in a 2005 article that the actual number of civil servants and quasi-civil servants in China supported by the state treasury exceeded 70 million, with a ratio of 1 to 18 between the government employees and the people.
那么作为我们去政府的学校，要实行花牌招生。花牌呢，北到北二路，南到黄河路，西边到西二路，东边到西一路。
需有发展功能平台，推进方案的工作要求，积极的探索经济区与行政区合作通力，努力在穿越毗邻地区合作平台中做出示范引领。一是抓好规划编制，高质量编制完成内家用产现代农业高新技术产业示范区的总体方案发展规划、专项规划、强化规划贯彻执行，确保一单难做，会到底。
According to China's National Bureau of Statistics, China's GDP exceeded RMB 100 trillion, or US 14.3 trillion, in 2020 for the first time. Taxes are very high in China, with the total tax rate for Chinese companies averaging over 67.3%, in addition to the enormous revenues from land sales across China, which almost amount to RMB 8.4 trillion, or US 1.2 trillion a year. According to such data, the Chinese government should not be short of money. However, in January 2021, the Chinese government released a report showing a total fiscal gap of RMB 8.5 trillion, or US 1.3 trillion in 2020, plus a shortfall of RMB 5.3 trillion, or US 0.81 trillion in 2019, leaving a shortfall of RMB 13 trillion, or US 2 trillion over 2 years. This report states, the accumulated balance of the national government debt at the end of 2020 is RMB 46.55 trillion, or about 45.8% of the national GDP, which is below the internationally accepted alert line of 60%. A source familiar with China's financial sector revealed that the data released by the Chinese government does not include the hidden debt. According to this source, China's central government did not have much fiscal surplus in 2020. In order to maintain its huge expenses such as national defense, ensuring domestic stability, and promoting external propaganda, it was unable to allocate funds to local governments as before. Local governments have therefore set up financing platforms by issuing urban investment and construction bonds. In 2020, there will be up to RMB 4.4 trillion, or US 0.068 trillion of such bonds newly issued, up 79.9% year-on-year. In addition, bonds issued by the central policy banks are not included in the government's book of debt, which is known as the secondary treasury. Based on the available data, the amount of new debt raised through such platforms has reached RMB 4.9 trillion, or US 0.76 trillion in 2020. If these two items are included, the Chinese government's debt would have reached 54% of GDP at the end of 2020, which is relatively close to the internationally agreed threshold of 60%. Not to mention, the authenticity of the data released by the Chinese government is very hard to verify at the moment. In August 2020, 31 provinces and municipalities announced their general public budget for the first half of 2020. Only Shanghai had a surplus, while the remaining 30 provinces and municipalities had a shortfall. 2021 to 2023 is the peak period for paying the local debt in China, and many of these debts are secured by local government revenues. The primary way for Chinese local governments to deal with the debt crisis is to drag out the debt payment until 2023 to 2028, leaving the burden to the following officials and transferring the risk to the banks. If these debts are eventually not repaid, taxpayers' money will have to fill the hole. In 2021, the price of commodities such as coal and iron ore has continued to soar in China. adversely affecting economic growth, and the top echelons of the Chinese Communist Party are paying close attention to this. Premier Li Keqiang recently repeatedly called out the commodity price rises, calling for more substantial adjustment of raw materials and other markets to ease the cost pressure on enterprises and stabilize the economy. Despite such strict control by the authorities, the problem of dumping commodities and tax evasion is still found, which shows the gravity of the situation. The public is curious, what kind of people are so bold? The bulk commodities are products or raw materials that are in large supply and demand, have a standard price set by the government, and impact the livelihood of the entire country. So those who can peddle these things are not ordinary people and usually have a considerable power background. So, does the Chinese Prime Minister have the ability to bring in the suspects? The Chinese Premier holds a bachelor's degree in law and a doctorate in economics from Peking University, a major research university in Beijing, and a member of the elite C9 League of Chinese Universities of China. When he served as a senior leader in the northeastern province, he said that rather than GDP, he preferred to observe the actual economic activity of a given region through three indicators, that is, electricity consumption, rail freight volume, and bank loan disbursements. These three indicators became known as the Li Keqiang Index. There is no doubt that the Prime Minister understands the economy. However, in China's Red Establishment, the party comes first and the government comes second. Government agencies are under the command of the Communist Party. As China's Prime Minister, he is not likely to have the power to do much more than banging the desk and striking a posture.